Hi, everyone. I'm Bryan Smith, Director of Maritime Product Management at Maxar Technologies. And today, I'm going to give you a little insight in what we're doing to identify illicit maritime activity remotely. As you all know, the oceans are vast. Vessels operate dark, masking their activity, making it incredibly difficult for maritime security and enforcement agencies to successfully interdict. If you think about the use cases these agencies are responsible for, having had a comprehensive understanding of vessel traffic is key for successful interdiction, whether it's around sovereignty protection, mitigating IUU fishing, or counter-trafficking. Today, the most common data source for having an understanding of vessel traffic is AIS, but it has its challenges. So AIS is strong because it's a global data set, but it does not capture the complete picture. It's only required for vessels greater than 300 tons. It's easily spoofed, easily turned off, and doesn't work in heavily trafficked areas. And if a vessel does not want to be tracked, its AIS signal will be turned off or spoofed, meaning that if you're relying upon this, you're going to have an incomplete view of vessel traffic, particularly for the vessels that matter most for your end missions. So we at Maxar are applying our capabilities to solve this issue. So taking a step back first, Maxar Technologies is an industry leader in space infrastructure, where we manufacture satellites, where we also provide space robotics, and in Earth intelligence, where we own and operate an industry-leading optical satellite constellation. We provide SAR and optical imagery, and we provide analytics based off of these data sets and analysis, leveraging ML capabilities. So we're taking these kind of capabilities and providing them in an intuitive way to solve these maritime security agency issues. We're introducing a new suite of products, Crow's Nest Maritime Monitoring and Security Solutions, to provide comprehensive maritime satellite surveillance services. So these products include multi-sensor SAR vessel detections, which are great for covering broad areas and detecting where there's vessels, automated tipping and queuing with our optical satellites, which allows you to gain greater insight into the vessels that matter most. We offer optical and SAR port monitoring, and also an application to do all of this analysis within an easy, intuitive interface. We bundle that with expert analysis and training, expert analysis from teams that have significant expertise in this area, providing custom kind of analytics, activity-based analytics, leveraging ML, AI techniques, and also training so that you know how to utilize it within your workflows. Today, I'm going to give a little bit more information on two of those products, multi-sensor SAR vessel detections and automated tipping and queuing. So first, multi-sensor SAR vessel detections. A benefit here is it shows more of the vessel activity in an area, including vessels that are operating dark. Right here, I have an example off the coast of Nigeria, where white and green vessels are those we were able to detect in the synthetic aperture radar or SAR image, and also correlate to an AIS ping, meaning those vessels are reporting via AIS. Vessels in black are those that we detected in the radar image. However, they were not reported, so they're operating dark. And what you see here is representative of what we see across geographies, just providing an example of how if you're relying just on AIS alone, you're missing a significant amount of the activity in the maritime area. And while SAR vessel detections are fantastic for covering broad areas and determining where there are vessels, there's limitations on the amount of information that can be gleaned. On the right, I have an example of a SAR vessel detection. And as you can see, it's difficult to tell the type of vessel, really impossible to tell the activity the vessel's engaged in, and impossible to tell what vessel it is. So with that, we're coupling our high-resolution optical imagery with radar imagery. So radar imagery to cover broad areas, and optical imagery to hone in on the vessels that matter most. In this example, on the SAR image, what you see is two vessels likely engaged in transshipment. And we use this to tip to our optical satellites, capture the optical image you see here, which shows the Adrian Daria 1 and Jasmine oil tankers engaged in sanctions evasion via transshipment activity. However, when we did this in late 2019 at the time, it was a really difficult process. It was something that wasn't really something we could scale and provide easily for customers. So something more is something we could demonstrate, but customers weren't able to leverage this easily within their workflows. We've since invested in an automated optical tipping and queuing engine that allows customers to seamlessly capture images of vessels of interest. So the way it works is you're able to create rule sets around maritime data sets, things like AIS and SAR VDS. And when a rule set is met, we automatically capture optical images of those vessels. Let me provide some examples. On AIS, you could set up a rule set around specific vessels that you want to capture images of, specific vessels when, say, they're moving slow. On SAR VDS, it could be dark targets of a certain size, dark targets within a certain area. We then determine where those vessels are at the time, make an estimation of where the vessels will be when our satellite pass is available. We automatically task our optical satellite, process the imagery, run AI ML-based vessel detection models, run AIS correlation so that you know which vessels are reporting via AIS and which aren't. We then push the output to our customers via email or via API to their proprietary systems, making it seamless and easily for them to integrate it into their workflows. So let me provide just a few examples of this capability. This first example is a rule set that was triggered off of AIS, where we were tracking known IUU motherships, and the rule set was triggered whenever these motherships slowed down, indicating that they were potentially engaged in transshipment activity. Our optical satellites then captured images of both these vessels. As you can see, there's a vessel next to it, which is offloading its catch into the larger mothership. You can see the refrigerated cargo holds are open where they're offloading that catch. In this instance, even more interesting is these motherships were right outside of an EEZ, and the smaller vessels were operating dark. We'd seen vessel detections from just inside the EEZ, meaning that it was likely these vessels were fishing in an area they were not supposed to, popping out of the EEZ to offload catch, masking the illicit activity they were engaged in. Second example I have is just fishing activity, showing how you can move from just having kind of a dot showing where a vessel is to actually seeing the activity the vessel is engaged in. So starting off on the left, what we have here is an image of a vessel we actually captured in a marine protected area. And as you can see, it's actively person-signed fishing. So you can see the net surrounding the vessel. So you know it's engaged in something that it should not have been. The middle example shows a vessel that was in an EEZ. And this could have been legal, could have been transiting. However, based off of this image, you can tell that from a lack of a weight that it's not moving, that it's either loitering, potentially about to be engaged in fishing activity or meet up with another vessel. Last image we have, you can see the line coming off the vessel. So showing again that it's actively engaged in fishing activity. So it provides maritime security agency the insight they need in order to deploy resources more effectively. Next example we have that shows kind of the power of our industry-leading constellation of satellites. In this example, we have a very high off-nadir image, so a high angle, getting the side of the vessel. And with our high-resolution optical imagery, you're able to see the flag of the vessel, ship lettering, superstructure aspects of the vessel, all critical components of the vessel so you can later ID or identify the vessel, which again is important for maritime security agencies. The last example I'd like to walk you through is of two vessels we captured. We're tracking the vessel on the left, which was operating dark in a specific area. And we then captured an image of a similar looking vessel a few days later in the general vicinity. So at first blush, they look very similar. They have similar vessel shape and draft, similar lifeboat arrangements. However, if you dig in, there's dissimilar deck structures. So with that, the information you're able to glean from high resolution imagery, you're able to draw some conclusions that it's the same vessel class, but different individual vessels. It's not necessarily or not the vessel that we were intending to track. And while today this is an alpha capability, we are doing it at a global scale. So what we have here is a representation of where we've collected images over 30 days. Previously, you wouldn't see any of these orange dots over the ocean. You really see it just over land. But with this new capability, we're able to capture thousands of images of vessels globally across the oceans, providing much more comprehensive maritime surveillance. While we view this as a strong capability today, our next generation Constellation is ideally suited for maritime missions. Its launch is planned in 2021 and will enable up to 15 times per day revisit and triples our 30 centimeter imagery capacity. What this means for maritime missions is we'll have that many more opportunities to capture vessels of interest or vessels engaged in illicit activity throughout the day. We also have that much more industry-leading resolution, so you can identify salient features of the vessels, activity the vessel is engaged in, or even identify the vessel. And while I focused on this capability on how it can apply for maritime missions, this is something that can apply towards land-based missions as well, a variety of different use cases. I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions or feedback, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.